My dear people of southern Cameroons, liberation greetings to all and sundry. Today is Saturday, November 20, 2021. And of course, my name is Comrade John Ba Akuro. And I'm coming today with yet another edition with the soul of the southern Cameroons. Let me begin by apologizing again today because, like I said last Saturday, we have been trying a lot of technical options as we want to upgrade this studios to make sure we have something far more professional, not like we are not professional right now than what we have. And so, consequent on this, we are trying a lot of options. So today we may be late again, but trust me, henceforth we are going to return to our 4 p.m. Eastern time, which is our broadcast. And on ground zero, 4 p.m. It's going to be, I think that should be 9 p.m. because the time zone has changed again. That'll be 9. Is that 9 p.m.? Yes, that'll be, is that 9 or 10 p.m.? I think 10 p.m. Yes, 10 p.m. Amber time. And so, my people, today, in lieu and place of a full dose of the soul of the southern Cameroons, I have a gentleman in me in the studio with whom we're going to be talking about referendum. We will be looking at the concept of a referendum from a different perspective. So I'm not trying to define today the difference between a referendum and a plebiscite. We already did that in our last broadcast. Today, we are looking at what a referendum instinctively is and if and when it will ever be organized at any stage of our liberation movement. Who will it concern and why? Who will it concern and why? Because I was on one of the channels. I think it's an online television channel of La République du Cameroun known as Media to Afrique or Media de Afrique, and this issue of referendum came on, and I was really, really amazed to hear what some high ups, some people pass around the title of doctor, some of them even professors in La République du Cameroun, what their thoughts about this is. And it translates exactly into how they have determined to look at us as a people since 1960. This is what motivated my choice, my decision of thinking that we need to talk about this today. Of course, next Saturday, we're going to resume normal programming. And I don't want to let it cut out of the back on exactly what we'll be discussing that Saturday. And so, without much ado, I'd like you to see who my guest is. His name is Nga Benjamin Mfo. Benjamin, greetings.
Thank you, Mr. John. Happy greetings from this end, and I think I enjoy your studio. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, Benjamin Nga is the editor in chief of Timescape magazine, and of course, Benjamin is not new to what is happening in the southern Cameroons, and Benjamin has had to write uncover stories or treat stories regarding referendum in other parts of the country. So Benjamin is right with me here in the studio. So, gentlemen, one word for my audience.
Well, I would say, this program is quite interesting, and these are kind of programs we want for the people of Southern Cameroon to listen to because they will have enough information about their country, enough information about what happened to them, and enough information about what's going on. So I advise them to, keep on listening to this program.
I'd like you to tell my audience briefly about Timescape magazine. What's Timescape magazine? Perhaps I get the look of Timescape magazine on here. So, what's Timescape magazine?
Well, Mr. John, Times K Magazine is a new platform for, not new as such, but it's a new platform uh, that we put in place so that we can, give news to Africa. I mean, news to Africa by Africans. We've been fed by a lot of TV channels from the West. They tell us our own stories. They tell us what they wanted to hear. And the picture of us is always a people who don't have anything, who are begging, who are poor, And if you look keenly, you discover that those who are poor are even those of the West. Africans are not poor. We may be poor, probably, not having maybe enough money or whatever, but we have the resources, we have the culture, we have almost everything. We just need to harness it. And how do we do that? Our people need clean, raw, and perfect information in order to proceed and progress.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. Uh, while you take your breath just for a little while, I like to take our people through some few issues, some few newsmaking events that characterized this week. And so, my people, this week I read this. CPDM MP fires line public works minister over abandoned Bamenda Babaju Road. You see, this is really foreign news, like you can say, foreign news. But you see, because they mentioned Bamenda there, it begins interesting me. It begins making me to feel like, okay, why don't I talk about it? Because look, we are witnessing a situation here where one member of government in La République du Cameroon after the other consider that we have become fools. This patch of road has been in question for at least 10 years today. But now they want to give us the impression that this patch of road is the way it is because the people of Bamenda have refused to know peace. Really? The people of the southern Cameroons are a peace-loving people. That is why we resisted all temptation under pressure from La République du Cameroon over the years to do what is happening now. We only got pushed with our backs to the wall when we couldn't bear it anymore. We are determined for several years to keep our movement peaceful. That is why from AAC 1 to AAC 2 and then to other conferences where, we eventually birthed, especially at AAC 2, the SCNC, with a slogan, that's the SCNC, the Southern Cameroons National Council, with a slogan, the force of argument and not the argument of force. This is a slogan that was embraced by every other movement at the time. That's a motto that was equally embraced even by the consortium that got grace in 2016 or 2017. And this has been the dictum of the people of the Southern Cameroons. How comes a patch of road that should have been constructed as of right at least 10 years ago becomes a matter of if the people were to be peaceful? My dear brethren of the Southern Cameroons, perhaps we don't even need it. The very existence of that patch of road the way it is an indication to the rest of the world that we are two peoples. Because frankly, Southern Cameroons, Republic du Cameroon, two peoples, two separate modes of operation and two destinies. Two peoples, two worlds, two destinies. We really don't belong together. So all these lies, either we're hearing from Chief John Gute, as soon as I get back to Yaoundé, there will be rumbling of caterpillars on that road, and after he goes, nothing. Or we hear from Atanganji, or we hear from this and that. This has been so recurring to the point where I think they should do us an honor by not talking about this thing again. Because each time they talk about it, they're simply adding insult to injury. After that, I had this other piece that made me laugh. Please let me laugh. I know that you don't like to get me really laughing a lot on this program, but my people, in as much as we are locked in a battle of our lives, we need to decongest our minds, our brains once in a while, so we continue to think right, so we maintain our focus. Renowned Nigerian prophet makes startling revelation on Amber fighters. Look at this. Renowned. The Guardian Post, they are always renowned. If it concerns Amber boys, always dreaded. Even those we never know. Once they fall in La République dragnet or they have decided to say that they are willing over to La République, they are dreaded. uh, Prophet, whether he's renowned or no concert, no, come on. We have listened to a lot of prophets from this same Nigeria say something contrary to what I'm saying here. And now he says this renowned Nigerian prophet makes startling revelation on number fighters, prophesies fighters will massively drop arms and end up preaching the gospel. Really? This is very interesting. Look, my people of the southern Cameroons, my people of Ambazonia, listen, I've said a lot of times that La République du Cameroon is desperate. La République du Cameroon has been thoroughly beaten. They are desperate. They are facing vicissitudes. They are facing a lot of downturns. They are confused. So, the only thing these people can do now is try to play over our morale. When they try to use a card of division, it doesn't go. They try to use a kind of infighting, like what we are seeing between Nopiti and Insobu today. And unfortunately for them, it is still not prospering. They try as much as possible to set even confusion in our minds, getting into people's cell phones, violating people's privacy. Because truth be told, that the fact that someone will come into your house, knock at the door, open and say, "Bring me your cell phone, unlock your phone," and that is a violation of privacy, and this is a fundamental right that's been violated previously and noted. That when they come, you find 5, 10 of them in your room, cooperate because you have to be alive. But the truth is, we have to get to a point where we operate as the masses, people power, get out back like we get out usually in our tens of thousands and tell them this will no longer be accepted or tolerated because this is a serious infringement on our rights. That shouldn't happen. But again, like I said, it is a show, a clear sign of desperation. When they start going to pay prophets, of course, we have seen this with the same prophet before. He's been brought to Victoria and they try to make him say things like all kind of things. It's not worked. I don't know if they feel that by causing him to go say now that our people are going to massively drop their stakes and everything and all or not to try and do. They think perhaps that this time is going to make some sense. It's going to strike the chord. That is going to discourage some people. But I want to assure you, my people of the southern Cameroons, we have to remain serene. Nobody should be moved by any of this. And I want to turn my attention probably to Bisenga Benjamin. You've looked at those two news headlines. What is your reading?
When I read that story and from the so-called Prophet Suleiman, it baffles me because those prophets, they keep on, making declarations that don't even come to pass. The fact is, I even watched the video myself, and he started by saying that the Cameroon government blamed him for doing something. So it's like he wants to, pay back so that the Cameroon government could love him. But it's rather unfortunate that you call yourself a prophet and you make declarations which may never come to pass. Because the Amber Boys didn't pick up arms because they wanted to be preachers or they wanted to preach the gospel or anything. They pick up arms for liberation, for freedom. And I want to let the prophet know that Amber Boys are even fighting a cause for God because they are fighting for the people, they are fighting the freedom of the people. And if for any reason they have to drop the guns, it should be that their people must have attained or achieved what they wanted, and by then they must have preached a better gospel. That's why I would say the prophet.
Okay, you also followed the other news item talking about the road between Babaju And Bamenda, I know it's a lot. It's about is it 5 or 6 years
Yeah.
since you left the Southern
It's,
Cameroons for the
it's,
United States of
it's
America?
I think it's
You
five
you
years
have
plus.
an idea how that road that patch of road looked like? Is it something new?
It's not something new. And the funniest thing is that you have a toll gate just by it where they collect money every other day. So if you want to ask yourself, how come that road is as it is when there was a toll gate just right there? And where has the money gone to? And promises upon promises, just like the ring road, this man comes and Ganon Jomese came, said the road was going to be tarred. The prime minister has been there, the road is going to be tarred. And we don't see anything, any result concretely. What I want to tell my people of Southern Cameroon or the people of the Northwest region as a whole is that they don't have that time to keep on hoping upon hope. They should go on with their normal lives and fight for their freedom. That's what I'll tell them. Because, it can't take 30 years for somebody to promise you to do something and don't do it. A common road linking the Northwest to the West region and to the capital, they can't do it. So forget about any other development and focus on liberating yourself. It might take a little bit longer, God forbid, but I assure you, don't think about those promises again. Focus on your freedom.
Thank you very much. I want to move on to another item. I know you wanted to see the Southern Cameroons because my viewers on this program are very obnoxious to those appellations, Northwest, Southwest, and
Yeah.
things like that. I know you definitely get used to this. Now, I get to this other item. This is a document signed by Atanga Ponji, who is forbidding the granting of any leave of absence to any member of the civil administration, especially in the southern Cameroons, right up until February 15. This should tell you that they are really, really in difficulties. Like I said, there is massive confusion. The problem is a good lot of these civil administrators who are found in our local government areas find it increasingly dangerous to live there. And so a good lot of them are escaping to the major cities. And so some will claim they are not well, so they take sick leave. Some will claim they have family issues. Others will claim, technical reasons to always be out. But right now, when he says right up to February 15, no leave of absence whatsoever, that tells you just how much they are confused over what approach to take to continue to subdue the people of the southern Cameroons. So we definitely are going to find time to come back to this and discuss a few nitty gritties regarding that on this program. Right now, a brief transition, and we get into the subject matter of our discussion today. And so, getting into the beef of our subject matter, first you want to understand, but what is a referendum? A referendum is a provision that permits voters of whatever entity is involved. It could be a country, it could be, yeah, but generally it has to be a country where the people, or a prospective country, or a non-state area which is seeking self-determination or something of the sort, who will be voting to either accept or reject a policy question or a public policy measure at a formal election. So the particulars of referendum would definitely be different from state to state, country to country, and things like that. And it sometimes can be either binding or it could be advisory. Now, we are talking here about the situation in Ambazonia. And so if you talk referendum, you'll be talking a situation where the result will definitely, if a referendum came to be conducted today in the Southern Cameroons, whatever result emerges will not be advisory. It would definitely be binding. And so, is there need for a referendum when you're talking about the situation in Ambazonia today? Do we need a referendum? No. If you are looking on basis of historical perspective and international instruments existing regarding the situation in the Southern Cameroons, the very quick answer is no. Why? Because a country normally should not achieve independence twice. Listen, in a previous program on this platform, I explained that a plebiscite was organized in the Southern Cameroons in 1961, and that was on February 11. The purpose of that plebiscite was to enable the people of the then Southern Cameroons to empower the government of Foncha. Jongo Foncha was Prime Minister of Southern Cameroons at the time, to negotiate a treaty of union with either the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that was going to be independent to, or that was even already independent, or the Republic of Cameroon, known then as La République du Cameroun, which was already independent too, because the outcome of the plebiscite could go either ways. But in the end, the people voted empowering Foncha and the government of the Southern Cameroons to negotiate a treaty of union. So the result or that plebiscite was to give an intent. So the intention was we empower you to eventually, when we achieve independence, negotiate a treaty of union with La République du Cameroun. This means, therefore, that the result of that plebiscite were not definitely binding. And so, that is why the United Nations, conscious of this itself, on April 23, on April 21, I beg your pardon, April 21, 1961, held a vote at the UN General Assembly, which is the supreme organ of the United Nations, to determine the matter of the independence of the Southern Cameroons. Overwhelmingly, the members of the General Assembly voted for the independence of Southern Cameroons. In normal circumstances, because La République du Cameroun, led by France, and about all other French-speaking African countries, with the exception of Mali, voted against the independence of the Southern Cameroons, Foncha and the people of the Southern Cameroons should not have gone ahead to get into any union with La République du Cameroun. Why? Because the simple fact that La République du Cameroun decided to vote against independence for Southern Cameroons at the United Nations, when there was already an intent by the people of the Southern Cameroons to achieve independence and get into a union and negotiate a union with La République du Cameroun, that already showed bad faith. That already showed that La République du Cameroun and France had ulterior motives. But unfortunately, the British, who ought to advise our people, who ought to advise Foncha and others, decided to side with France and La République du Cameroun. And that is why, at the end of the day, despite voting against independence for Southern Cameroons, the Southern Cameroons found itself still getting into a union with La République du Cameroun. Needless for me to mention here that La République du Cameroun, or the president of La République du Cameroun, El Haj Amadou Babatura Ahijo, actually was the one that received the instruments of independence of state of the southern Cameroons from the hands of the British, rather than handing this to Foncha, who had then to get this and then get into a kind of negotiations. So that rape is what has generated what we are living through right up to this moment. And so you understand, therefore, that a majority of the members of the General Assembly of the United Nations voted already for independence for the Southern Cameroons. So, in effect, we achieved independence and then decided as an independent entity to join La République du Cameroun as per the choice of the leaders who were already mandated, who were already empowered at a plebiscite on February 11, 1961. And so, my people, the answer, therefore, to the question I asked earlier, do we have again to go through a referendum to achieve our independence? The answer from what I've presented should be a big no. But take note, the way international relations operate is difficult for us to, just discount that we may end up finding ourselves at the foothold of a referendum again. That's possible. In the case of Senegal and Gambia, the people of Gambia achieved their independence and then negotiated a treaty of union with Senegal. But it just didn't work. That is why Senegal and Gambia didn't go on together for a long time. And the people of Gambia left the union with Senegal. There was no bloodshed. There was no gunshot. Nothing. Just like that. Because it didn't work. And because the agreement was clear. My people, what we are going through with La République du Cameroun today is because in the minds of the people of La République du Cameroun, what they were coming for was annexation and not a union. It was annexation. And the whole thing was carefully planned out. It was carefully planned and mapped out. And even the years, the chronology of how it had to happen was clearly written out. Unfortunately, our people were not aware of this. When they became aware, like you heard one of my guests on this program say, there was nothing anybody could do because they found themselves powerless. No army. The Southern Cameroon's police was already disbanded and some absorbed into the army of La République du Cameroun and things like that. Loyalties were already, elsewhere. And so when they decided to start implementing their diktat in 1972 by organizing the kind of referendum some of the citizens of La République du Cameroun still bear in mind can be what will play out again today, that was in continuation of what they had planned. And so history has it that when Foncha, Muna, and even Fonlong and all the other people of the Southern Cameroons went out to campaign for that referendum and that people should vote for, getting into a unitary state, they did that against their will. They had no choice because Ahijo had the powers. He had the dogs. He could use those dogs against them. And so it was an instruction, you go out and campaign. And of course, you are aware that the referendum was between we and no. And the fraud in that referendum is that it had to concern only the people of the Southern Cameroons. But it finally involved those of La République du Cameroun. And even then, the choice was still between we and yes. And so, why therefore would there be talk of referendum today and why should we be discussing it? Yes, we have to discuss it because on that program that I said I was at, on Media de Afrique, a gentleman from the north, I thought he called himself, one doctor, was it, oh my goodness, his name is moving, was it Bubakari or something of the sort? He said, if there is a referendum today, that referendum has to involve the entire La République du Cameroun and the Southern Cameroons to decide on the fate of the people of the Southern Cameroons. This is what makes me to get into this discussion. And so I want to turn my attention once more to Mr. Benjamin Nga. And Mr. Nga Benjamin, I know you have an idea exactly what a referendum is. Does it make any sense to imagine that if there has to be a referendum today, a consultation today, it has to involve citizens of La République du Cameroon voting to determine what is good for the people of the southern Cameroons.
That's an absolute no. No, because it would be the same like, taking a cube of sugar into a basin of water as they describe us that we were just a cube of sugar
2 cubes of sugar.
or 2 cubes of sugar. Not two because we don't accept to be two, we are one. Because the thing about Northwest and Southwest, we are one people, the people of the Southern Cameroons. So if we are to hold a referendum today, it will entirely be for the people of Southern Cameroons. They have to determine their fate. And I have this feeling, Francophones or the people of East Cameroon, they always think that, they have to decide for us. I listen to Soma Jedone all the time, he has some ideas. He says, on doit les donner. On doit les donner. We have to give them. Nobody has to give us anything. We are a people. We are a country. We have to decide what is good for us. So if we do have a referendum, it will be for us, Southern Cameroonians, to decide what is good for us. And if, Francophones, they don't have a problem, or people of the East Cameroon, so they have no need to vote in any referendum. It will be entirely for the people of Southern Cameroons. I don't see any logic from the doctor saying that it will be for the entire country. That's fallacious.
Uh, perhaps, perhaps because they feel that the people of the southern Cameroons or the people of Ambazonia are too menial or not mature enough to take their own future into their hands, or that yeah, you just talked about on valeur donner, giving, like they say they have given us special status. Really, who is giving who special status?
That's the question.
One state giving another state a status, one state giving another state I mean a federation. I
That
think that sounds more like an insult.
it's ridiculous because you know even some people say we don't have any problem with the people of East Cameroon. I say we do have a problem with the people of East Cameroon because if they thought their government was doing something wrong, by today they were being on the street to protest. If they thought we were part of them, they were being on the street to protest and ask their government, why are you killing our brothers? They've been quiet. They've been okay. They've been drinking their beer, like one of the ministers said. Despite la guerre au Noso, ça m'empêche de voir mon vin. Those kind of things. I think we have a problem with the people of East Cameroon. They are not our friends. Let me put it that way. They are not our friends, although they are not sending us back from their country, but they are supporting their system. Else, they would have been on the street to tell Biya and his government, stop killing these people.
Let me make this clear. We may say they are not sending our people out of their territory, but there's a reason they are not doing that. One, because they are exploiting our people. When you hear somebody say, "Can't you at Ombamenda?" We have our people who, because of the force of things, are now in their plantations. They are their slaves in their plantations. You heard about the one who rose up to ask for a pay raise in Ebolova, in the outskirts of Ebolova. And what happened to him? His boss and her brothers gassed life out of him. So if they are not keeping our people because they like them, these are some of the reasons they are letting our people be there right now. And I know that their patience is getting to limits. Number one, because our people are paying money in the schools that they have created, that they have constructed out there. Some just created overnight, even without authorizations left and right. And our people are paying them a lot of money in those schools. That's why they need our people there. Number two, they need our people because of cheap labor. They even exploit some of them. They work day and night and they don't even pay them. What will you do? Can you raise your voice? You want to raise your voice? They say, I will call the gendarme or police and say, tu es un amba. And you shut your mouth. That's why they're keeping our people there. They have transformed our young girls into prostitutes that they use without even giving them anything. Because you should be grateful just that they are letting you have a place to keep your head. That is how they're exploiting our people, just like the Egyptians did the Israels, did the children of Israels. I mean, in the Bible of old. So what I want to say is, it is not because they like our people that are letting them that way. No, it is because these are people they are exploiting overwhelmingly. That is why our people are still there. Truth be told. So let's get back to this issue of referendum. Like I was talking about this, what is Dr. Buba or Abdullah, who said if there's a referendum, we should be aware that it will not only be Southern Cameroonians voting, it must be the entire La République du Cameroon, and we should be assured that they will vote overwhelmingly against it. My people, I'm bringing this up so we'll discuss it, so you are aware that the possibility of La République du Cameroon even getting involved in the organization of that referendum, in case we ever get there, is not a possibility. Benjamin, or perhaps am I getting a bit mixed up?
I think you're perfectly right. I listened to that program, and that very doctor said something again. He said we should be rest assured that the Northeast or those from the North won't accept any referendum again, or if there were going to be some kind of federation, because he was talking in the context of voting to go back to 1961 to have a federal system, and he was categorical that if we are to get into that and even vote to have a federation, the people of the North won't accept any form of federation. And I'm saying this because, when we are going back to the federal system, or if we can, I'm not saying that we're going back, if we should be going back to a federal system, it won't be like 10 state federation or 20 state federation. It would be Southern Cameroon and East Cameroon, whatever they're doing with their country. That would be their own cup of tea.
No, let me
But
come in right there.
I'm just saying this. I'm not saying that we are going back there.
I know. I just wanted to
Because-
tell you that. Let me come in right there because I know before you start getting, hailstone on your head, so you know, even for me right here,
Yeah.
discount the issue of federation, discount it once and for all. Listen,
Yeah.
let me tell you this. There was a time when the people of the Southern Cameroons remotely even thought we could federate again. And that was 2016. And that was because, the consortium were thinking that these people were still humans. The SCNC, the sister organization that was banned alongside the consortium on January 17, 2017, was already very clear about where we needed to go to, that we needed to get back our country. And remember that the consortium were obstinate about this issue of federalism, and it ended on February 9, 2017, when through the voice of Patasang Wilfred on a video recording, the consortium veered course. That was the last of the main dinosaurs that was still thinking of consortium. That was still thinking of federation. And from that moment, from February 9, 2017, talking federation to people of Southern Cameroon is anathema. It's now even more of a provocation.
Absolutely.
And I think that that kind of provocation, honestly, should be avoided.
But let me just say this again. I know we are not for any form of federation again. And that said, I would say this: if truly, and this I'm saying to our leaders, I think put that in quote, I mean those who are championing this cause. If you don't think about federation, you don't think about confederation, you don't think about anything between you and the Republic, you stop the whole idea of negotiations, because you don't negotiate independence. That's a fact. You don't. Stop the whole idea of we have to, push the Republic for Swiss talks or for what talks ever. Because if today the Republic says, I am coming for talks, it means we have to, or for negotiations, it means we have to give something and they give something and we negotiate and probably take the middle ground. And that's what the whole world, the international community will be waiting. If they push you into some form of negotiations, you are not negotiating your independence, because nobody will accept to give you independence on the negotiation table. So the only thing I would say is, if you want absolute independence, have your independence first, and negotiate the terms of separation after that?
This is very important. It may seem trickish to some people's ears what you mean by have your independence first, then go and negotiate the terms of separation. This means that we keep making the cost of occupation unbearable for La République du Cameroon until they realize they have to leave our territory. This means again that we cannot talk negotiation until we are holding the better end of this liberation movement. Holding the better end of this liberation movement means we have made it clear to La République du Cameroon that it is impossible for them to ever operate again on our land. Holding the better end means we have got to the point where Mr. Paul Biya sends talks to our land and they refuse to come. That we have got to a point where Mr. Paul Biya's administration is packing out, where they pack out because they can no longer stand the heat. At that time, the world recognizes that we have taken back our country. And then we will now go to the negotiation table to discuss about how to share some of the things that we have in common. Are we sharing any part of Cameroon's, La République du Cameroon's external debt? If we're not sharing, it has to be clear. But of course, we don't have to share. Should La République du Cameroon pay us indemnity for all what they have exploited from our land for 60 years and never developed us? Hell yes, we will ask questions about where Cameroon Bank went to, about where the National Produce Marketing Board went to, about where Powercam went to, about what happened to PWD, about. These are fundamental questions we will ask on that negotiation table where we are negotiating the terms of separation. And at the end of the day, we may have to come to some agreements that will make us live after that peacefully as neighbors. But don't tell me that you want La République du Cameroon on the table now when they have their entire administration on our land, when they still have, their scouts or their talks all over our land. You say you are going to a negotiation table right now. Trust me, my people, you are going to negotiate living together. You are going to discuss a one Cameroon agenda. So this is why a lot of us had said and continue to say, we, the people of the Southern Cameroons, are not ready for negotiations. La République du Cameroon is not ready. We are not ready. The time we will be ready will be when La République du Cameroon is begging for the table. And when La République du Cameroon starts begging for the table, it's because they recognize already that we are gone and they want to move out. They want at least to have some entente, to have free passage to get out the rest of their people or their things or whatsoever that are on our territory. Some of their people have invested in our land. We have invested on their land. And so, how are these things going to be handled? Those are the things that will constitute discussions on a negotiation table. For now, like I've said before, and I repeat, singing Swiss morning, Swiss afternoon, Swiss evening will not give us that independence we seek. Benjamin, I see you are burning to say something.
Yes, just a very short thing. I would say, if I were one of the leaders of this revolution,
of this liberation movement, you mean?
Liberation movement. If La République du Cameroon calls me today to come and negotiate, I won't even go. Ask me why. Because they want me to negotiate on staying together. When you get there, they will say, okay, we've considered to federation. You say, no, I am for independence. They will say, no, you have to give in something. What are our leaders going to give? It should be clear. Make it clear to us, all the leaders. Tell us what you are ready to give when you go for negotiations with the Republic.
At this point in time?
Yes. Tell us what you are ready to give in. Then I understand. Those who sing sweet talk evening, morning, and even yesterday or for the past 3 or 2 years, tell me what you are ready to give in to the Republic for those negotiations. Then I will understand everything.
Benjamin, let's take a look at this. It's an interesting concept. It's an interesting. We say before the truth can set you free, you need to recognize which lie is holding you hostage. Why am I bringing you this thought? Because when you say certain things at times, people say, "Oh, why are you saying this thing? the truth is we need negotiations, we need this and that. There is some, there is some lie somewhere which is holding you hostage. Recognize this lie and then bring in the truth. It will set you free. I saw this someone that said, this is it. It says exactly what we need to know. I said on a forum that you cannot defend a just cause with falsehood. And what will constitute falsehood? Giving the people the impression that they can be granted independence on the negotiation table. Let me tell you this. There is a fallacy we tell ourselves that, oh, we have a very good case, because if they say they should examine the root causes on the table, of course, the root cause is decolonization. That's why La République is running. Yes, that's why La République is running from the negotiation table. But La République is running because that will mean that they'll be forced to make some concessions with respect to living together. Not because they will come to a negotiation table and tell La République Cameroon, sign here that you will pack out of that country. Forget about that. It has never happened anywhere. It will not begin happening now. We must bear in mind, my people, that we have to get deeper into the trenches and do the hard work. The hard work of liberating our land, and then only going to the negotiation table to talk about the terms of this separation with La République du Cameroun. This is a fundamental issue we must know. Because if we don't recognize this and we go screaming, Swiss, that's why La République du Cameroun considered, when we started talking about this thing a lot, they said there were signs of fatigue. What do you think about that, Benjamin?
Absolutely. Well, once you keep on, preaching negotiations, talking about your readiness to negotiate
without preconditions.
Without preconditions, you are waiting for them on the table. It means that you are getting tired. It gives them the impression that if they resist for a longer time, you're going to surrender, you're going to get tired. And I will say this again, John. There's this idea. If our leaders want to be independent, if they want us to be independent as fast as possible, what they should do is they must stop politicking among themselves. They must stop trying to paint some other person black or some other person red or whatever. They should get ready to fight. Simon Monzo said something, although people don't like him. He told us, Chet, that if you are not ready for any form of, living with the Republic of Cameroon, you have to be ready. Get your loin and be ready to fight. And how are we going to be ready to fight? We must together make sure that in the diaspora here, we are just trying to gather funds to feed the boys on the ground. We are trying to get things for them, to get them food, to get them money, to get them, equipment to use in whatever. That is what the diaspora should be doing. And as I say again, leadership for this struggle will emanate from the ground and not from the diaspora, because you don't feel the pains of those boys fighting on the ground. Even I want to assure you that some of you who call yourself leaders here in the diaspora, if you go to ground zero today, you might be the first person to be lynched.
I fully understand what you are talking about. It's true that Dr. Monzo said this, that be ready. And I've heard a lot of other stakeholders in this movement make the same statement. Listen, if we want this freedom, and we want it so badly, and we know we need it, let us stop shouting negotiations up, negotiations down. The only thing we need to do is ensure that we have synergy. This synergy is too necessary. Why? Because we will avoid the waste of the scarce resources we have. I will not send to no PT in the morning. You send in the afternoon because you want his allegiance and I want his allegiance. I will not send to Insobu in the morning and you send to him in the evening because you want his allegiance. The same thing with Commando, all this and that. No. We will be harnessing and making sure all the compartments of this liberation movement have what they need to deliver. But if we continue in these disparate ranks, or it is me, I have to be the one in charge, no, We need each other because the work of getting La République du Cameroon out of our country, so that we only sit on the table to negotiate the terms of our separation, is an enormous task that no single group, no single movement, no single organization can do it alone. We need each other. And if you look at it today, even some of the movements are fragmenting again. They are fragmented before. They are in danger of fragmenting further. We don't need all this fragmentation. We need our heads working together, thinking together. And I think the more organized we become, the more resources will flow in to do the heavy weight lifting that we need to have. Benjamin, I'd like us to take a look at this video. It's circulating seriously on social media. It's almost a without comment kind of video, but let's just take a look at it.
Mama, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Very good, very good, very good, very good. Prends le couteau.
Well, I heard happy birthday to you, and at some point I heard happy birthday to you, Excellency. I was looking at it. I did recognize some two faces there. The lady in red. And then I saw somebody like a cowboy moving like a lost Excellency soul. Or Benjamin, you saw that video. What's your comment?
You know, it's quite interesting, and I would say, well, you know, that is where we are, and it's a shame for Africa as a whole. You know, that time I was watching another video of the president of, is it Gabon, Ali Bongo, who cannot, he has a stroke and can't even walk. He was with the French president, and yet he is still the president.
He was almost falling.
He was almost falling or collapsing, not even collapsing. That is, you know, Africa is a shame. And this another person who is unable, you know, to even walk around. He is walking like, you know, an old ghost. But that said, that's not even important. What I want to say, what I want to say here is, do you think this man you saw walking has an idea about what is happening to his country? Are you sure he knows that there's war in his country? Because
are you sure are you sure he even knows what is happening at that place where he's standing?
Absolutely.
He seems so detached.
I mean, as a president who
Seems
knows,
so detached.
As a president who knows that part of your country is, you know, at war, you can't be celebrating your birthday. You can't seem to be enjoying, because part of you, the people you think you are controlling, the people you say are part and parcel of you, they are killing soldiers, and you are the commander-in-chief of those soldiers. Yet, there you are, celebrating your birthday with the children and enjoying the whole while the children of other people are there dying in the battlefield.
Benjamin, I don't even want to say that he's celebrating. Did you see that man celebrating? Because you saw somebody lost, confused. At one point, they even have to, you know, a lot of people have looked at it. People are very cautious. People are very cautious about making any statement because a lot of people are even still doubting. But you see, because I had the opportunity to work closely at some point where he was, where I knew his gesture, that I know his gesture, I know the way I mean, you just need to see the way he made his hands like this. Just the way he made those his hands is enough. If you are doubting to know exactly who this is. Because you see, a lot of people look at it, but really? And then they look at the, I mean, the flamboyant, the all gorgeous and good looking first lady. They look at her, they're looking completely, you know, the face too, so, should I say, lanky and almost ungraceful looking. And so everybody's like, really? Are these the people that we are suspecting? And I would assure you, you see the very thin group there, it's just like the little family circle that said, let us do something. And even right inside the family there, someone still managed to say, Your Excellency. Come on.
You know, the French system are not, like francophones. They are kind of people, they enjoy titles more than anything. They enjoy, calling people to deceive them. And that's why, you have this concept of chef tel, this concept of somebody who's a minister, he's called His Excellency already. Somebody who is, just a director, at times they call him, oh, Monsieur le Directeur. I mean, they like, so if you don't call Bia His Excellency, he might even get annoyed with you because they love those titles. And everywhere he goes, he thinks he is, always an excellency. Even within his family circle, he is still Your Excellency. And I believe the guy doesn't know where he is, as you said. He doesn't know that, within family circles, if that birthday was something within his family circle, those appellation of His Excellency, all those kind of things are not very important.
Well, he always has to be reminded that he's in charge. When you see him lost,
Absolutely, yeah.
almost like Njifenji, completely lost, having no idea exactly where he is, they have to keep reminding him. You heard about what they call, the Francophones call the syndrome Bougiba, where they tell you that they keep reminding you that you are in charge, whereas in effect, you don't even have an idea what is going on. So I fully understand what you're talking about. And so let's go back to this issue of a referendum, to come away from there, to make it absolutely clear to all and sundry that if ever there has to be a referendum, that's if the international community at some point at the United Nations, through the Security Council, come in and say, okay, because there's hearing some talks of some people talking federation, some talking confederation, some saying unionism, and they want to say, okay, no, we are not sure what the people want. Let us ask the people what they want, because of course, like Republic of Cameroon keeps trying to claim that the majority of the people just want, some kind of arrangement to stay with them. That is when the international community can say that there is need for a referendum, and such a referendum will and must be organized not by La République du Cameroun, but by a neutral body, in this case the United Nations, that conducts it, runs it through to the end of the day, and then we get the result, which will be binding on every other Southern Cameroonian. Of course, that happened with the case in Southern Sudan. The case of Southern Sudan, they did not do a referendum in the entire Sudan, and it was not organized by Sudan. The referendum was organized in Southern Sudan, and the people of Southern Sudan were the only people who voted, and the result of that referendum became binding, and that's how they are where they are today, Benjamin.
Absolutely. As you said, in Sudan, it was not organized by Khartoum. So in Cameroon, it won't be organized by Yaoundé. And the fact is, only those who are complaining, only those who pick up arms will be asked the question, what do you want? That's it. The people of East Cameroon are okay. They didn't pick up arms. They're not fighting themselves. We took arms to fight a system that we thought...
No, to defend ourselves. To
defend
defend ourselves from an attack. Because like I've always said, the people of the Southern Cameroons are a very peace-loving people. We kept getting to the streets, even right up to 22nd September 2017. We were in the street in millions with peace plans. We are a peace-loving people. We've always wanted things to happen in a peaceful manner. La République du Cameroon did not conquer us at war. We didn't go into war and all of those things. And so that is why even lately, you notice that what happened in Bamenda and in Boya, the people were again on the streets with peace plans. Peace plans only. Those are the people of the Southern Cameroons. That is who we are, a peace-loving people. What is happening now? We are defending ourselves, and I want that to be clear.
That's very clear, and I think our people took up arms to defend themselves against an aggressor, which is the people of the Republic. So if they have to ask a question, it will be for those who took up arms to defend themselves. What do you actually want? And they will tell you, we want absolute independence, or we want this or that. So any referendum organized, by whoever in the whole of Cameroon, including the Republic, is null and void. It cannot even hold. It will only be a question asked to the people of Southern Cameroon. And that said, I would like also, if the French people are listening to me, the whole idea of them thinking that we are one people, I want them to know that before the colonial master came, and even when he was here, we were not one. Our origins stem from the English and the French after they took us from the Germans. That's where we went our ways. We were never together. The Germans probably had the German Cameroon as their farm. When they left and the English and the French came in, we were not one people. We were two different people who decided to come together, not to reunite, to come together, because we were never united. We never had a united Cameroon as one would.
No, I think I want to come in there. Let's be clear. There was no country in 1916.
Yes.
There was no country in 1916. The
Yes.
first countries emerged in 1960 at independence.
Yes.
That's when you had countries. What happened in 1916? By 1919, when the Germans were defeated, or prior, or in 1888 after the Berlin Conference, where people came and negotiated with various ethnic groups, chiefdoms and all whatnot, and brought people, and were trying to bring people together left and right. Before the Germans, there was nothing like, and when the Germans came, it was still work in progress. It was still work in progress. So, I mean, the people of Bali, they had their funds that Zingram negotiated with, brought in. The people of Bafud, the people of Batibo, I mean, in various areas, just like that. And then they negotiated with the Douala chiefs, negotiated with the Costa chiefs, and so there was no construct called Cameroon. So all those things that they say once in a while they want to go back into history, if they want to do that, and I've said it before, they will go bring in parts of Gabon, parts of Congo. Perhaps you may find that Equatorial Guinea will sink. They will go to bring in a lot of. So they'll bring in Chad. A good lot of the Chadian territory will come in. So there is even no point talking about this thing. We are two peoples. We are two peoples, two worlds, and with two separate destinies. There is no point sitting down to be. This doesn't even call for a kind of debate. What I just wanted to point out here is that Benjamin, and this is about the last question for you on this program, because we're coming to the end of the program, is that I see some people coming up that they want to create a movement to be calling for a referendum. Is that a wise thing to do at this point in time?
Well, I would say it is wise and still unwise. Wise in the sense that we as Democrats, we are trying to, if we have for sure we're going to have our country, we should start showing people that we will be the Democrats we preach. If there are people amongst us who think that they want to come up with something for federation or whatever, as Democrats, let's see where they are going to. But they should know one thing, that a majority of Southern Cameroonians are for absolute independence. And if they are coming with something like that, in as much as they have the right to do it, they should be very, very careful the way they're doing it, because when a people are at war, they don't know who their enemy is, and when once you are against them, you are their enemy.
So
They should.
let's go back to the
I'm
other downside of it.
yes. The downside of it is, as I said, is that the about more than 70% or 80%, just from those two opinion polls that we carried.
Three.
Yes, 80, you say 80, okay,
86.
86%. Okay, that's
Yes,
fine.
the last one,
So,
I think that of by the CDN was 86%.
right.
The one from by Cardinal Toomey was 69%.
Okay.
There was one by CIDI of Victor Epiengome, which was, I think, 68 or 69% again. And so, yep, overwhelmingly, the
Overwhelming.
trend is clear.
So they should know they should know one thing, that the people already are on the other side. They want absolute freedom, and absolute freedom means absolute independence. So if they are trying to come up with something of that nature, probably to go lobby for something or whatever, they should know that the people are not with them and be ready to bear any kind of consequences that come with it. Because even democracy at times is absolute dictatorship. Because when we talk about democracy, you need to understand that when once the people are on the other side, and everybody understands that if you're trying to bring in something, be ready to face it. It's still part of democracy, I would say.
Thank you, Benjamin. You are reminding us that democracy is the dictatorship
Majority.
of the majority over a minority. Of course, there are always stop gaps to ensure that even that minority, ends up still having a say. And this say, is generally not like you're overturning the will of the majority, but simply that you still have a few concerns that will be taken into consideration. You'll still be given the opportunity to bring in your own opinion, but this time no longer on where the country goes to, on how the country is run, on how the people attain the overall objective of development. But from my personal viewpoint, I think perhaps it's erroneous at this point to start spending time to be talking about, referendum. Let us rather concentrate on doing the heavyweight lifting by making sure we continue to increase the cost of occupation by all peaceful means, all possible, and ensuring that La République du Cameroon begins to see the need to get out of our territory. So, Benjamin, thank you so much, and thank you for your time. Thank you for being part of this broadcast. Of course, this was simply verse 6 of our program, The Soul of the Southern Cameroons. Perhaps this was a different formula of, should you say, myself bringing a pressman, so we have a conversation about some of the concepts or some of the principles that are being discussed in the struggle. That said, I want to thank each and everyone for taking time off their busy schedules to watch this program and to be with us. Until next Saturday, is have a nice time.